So I briefly just wanted to talk about an anecdote that happened back in Texas when I and some of us others who are also here, were trying to stop the Keystone XL pipeline, which is a tar sands pipeline that runs through Oklahoma and Texas. It was under construction in 2012 and 2013, and we weren't able to stop it despite a sustained campaign of civil disobedience. But what happened one of those days on December 3rd, 2012, we had the first pipeline barricade action where people barricaded themselves inside of a pipeline. There were 3 of them, and it was a very significant action. At some point, the police escalated. They were becoming very violent, and they were threatening to do something that could actually rip the arms of the protesters off. It was very scary. At some point, in a very heated moment, one of the police officers said, "Y'all need to pick a different cause. There are so many other things wrong." She just started listing off other things that she thought that would be better that if we focused on. And so that really got to me because I'd been studying the tar sands issues very carefully for a long time, and I'd come to realize over the course of my research that the tar sands exploitation represents the culmination of the totality of basically every type of injustice that human beings have ever faced. It's all in the tar sands. The tar sands have become one of the biggest one of the most environmentally destructive projects on the planet. I literally, if you mention any kind of injustice, pretty much any of us at Mercats can tell you how it's related to tar sands and why tar sands exacerbates it and is part of the problem. So, just a quick question. How many of y'all know what tar sands is and how different it is from crude oil? So the industry will tell you that tar sands is a form of crude oil, but it's not. And that's one of the biggest reasons why it's very dangerous. It's not a liquid. It's a solid. It has the viscosity of peanut butter. It's extracted from dirt, squeezed out using steam or other techniques. And it's forced to flow through a pipeline. It's not meant to flow through a pipeline, but it's forced to flow through a pipeline using diluents, which are toxic, which are gassy, so they actually evaporate when the pipeline spills occur, and where the dilbit actually sinks afterwards. That's what happened in Kalamazoo. That's why, the people in Kalamazoo had to deal with noxious fumes. It's very different from crude oil. These kinds of things don't happen to the extent that they do with tar sands. And then after the diluents evaporate, the dilbit sinks. But anyway, getting back to all the different forms of injustice, this is a really desperate form of fuel. It's there because all the easy forms of fuel have run out. We've extracted them past the point of where it's productive to continue to extract them, and we're going to more extreme forms of fuel. So I mean, most of us here know there's fracked gas, fracked oil, and tar sands, to just name some of the many different forms. There are many other more extreme forms. So pretty much every extreme form is being explored right now because we're running out. And what human beings are willing to do in order to exploit these really severe forms of energy is itself severe. So we're talking about displacing entire communities, displacing entire ecosystems, buying off governments, entirely replacing governments entirely, ignoring the sovereign rights of people who live along pipeline routes, picking pipeline routes that are actually at the places of quote-unquote least resistance, poor communities, communities of color, communities that are most poorly poised to resist the pipelines coming through their land. So there's just so much. It's just a big monster. Tar sands is just a big monster. And it's created by us. It's created by our own desperations. Our own desperations for a continued convenient lifestyle at the expense of the planet. And we have to stop it. It's our own nightmares just coming to life. And so, yeah, it's just incredibly terrible. And what happened in Kalamazoo 4 years ago was not, I want to stress that it was not merely an accident. It was a symptom of the society's path to collapse. We're crumbling over our own weight, and it's going to continue to happen if we don't do more and more escalated things to stop it. So I hope we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, wow,
we were going to possibly do another song, but it looks like you're just chilling, so we can wait. That's fine. For our last, but definitely not least speaker, we have Chris the Whammer Whamhoff, who's a good friend of the MyCats and is our notorious skateboarding blockader. He is a social worker and an admired principled human being. Wow. Although his path has led him to focus less on MyCats and more on politics, wherever his activism leads him, he will be in the hearts and spirits of us all. Wow.
So I actually wanted to start by reading something. Which I didn't have time to. So this is something about a canary. We all know with canaries that they were brought into mines. This is literally the first thing it says in Wikipedia about a canary in a mine. Canaries were birds mining workers would carry down into the mine tunnels with them. If dangerous gases such as methane or carbon monoxide leaked into the mine, the gases would kill the canary before killing the miners, thus providing a warning to exit so they can get out. And that's what the Kalamazoo River was. It was the canary in the mine. And it's important for us moving forward to carry that message, to be canaries ourselves. We have a perspective here. We have people here who understand what happened. We have to put that out to others. Howard Zinn is one of my heroes. Howard Zinn probably said a couple of quotes that I think are really important. One of the first things that Howard Zinn did, and he did this throughout all of his teachings, was to tell people it's not about your government, it's not about the politicians, and it's not about these people we call leaders. They have never enacted change. In the Revolution, it wasn't George Washington or Hancock, it was the Minutemen, and it was the revolutionaries that were fighting for something. Questionable how all of that turns out, but when it comes down to the men that thought they were doing the right thing for their families, that's what it was. When the anti-slavery movement came, it was not Abraham Lincoln that freed the slaves. It was the Underground Railroad. It was the anti-slavery movement, and it was people breaking laws and pushing themselves.
Yeah.
In the 1940s, it was not Franklin. It was not the government that saved and stopped child labor and got the 8-hour workdays. It was people giving their lives. It was people going out and fighting for their families. It was everyday people. In the civil rights movement, it was not any of our leaders. It was people that were willing to do whatever they could for their communities to have a voice and have a chance. Howard Zinn also said, which of course is the one most of us know, that our problem is not disobedience. Our problem is obedience. And moving forward with this fight, we know here in Michigan, we're at a point where it's civil disobedience. We're at a point where we've done the petition drives for something like the emergency finance manager, where we did everything by the books, and it got put over. And now we have people standing and fighting in Detroit, literally for their lives at this point. For tar sands, for the extraction, Michigan is the canary in the mine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.